next number, I like to return to the classics.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a minute. And like so many pandemic podcasts, once the world started to open up a little bit, our lives got rather crazy, rather wild, rather exciting, and rather insightful. And in the midst of still continuing to deal with the pandemic, we decided our creative juices can be held back no longer, and we must step forward, or step back. And it's something we wanted to do from the very beginning. For you see, some people only adopted the pod. We were born with it. And with that, welcome back to a new version, a new style, a new beginning. For this podcast is for nerds.
Welcome back, Zach. That was a really good Bane impression. I like
Thank
that.
you. I was actually practicing that on the way here.
Nice. Yeah, I went back and I looked at our Instagram. I realized the last episode we did it's been almost a year. April 17th.
That's impressive, honestly. And realistically, I think Cobb said it best. What are you guys doing with the cadence? You're doing way too much. How do you even make that happen? And at the time, it was easy. And then it got not easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think our lives just got a little busy, and then it was kind of like last summer things kind of improved. Everyone was all vaxxed up. So we were like, we should go live life and not do this little podcast. But I think, as everyone knows, this pandemic isn't going away, and
it shouldn't be funny.
Yeah, so we were like, well, and also, like, as you said, we need to get those creative juices flowing again. So yeah, I'm excited to be doing this again with you, because I realized, as I was like preparing what I wanted to talk about this week, there's so much that's happened in the past year that I'm excited to talk with you about.
I agree. And I think that there are things that I discovered that I actually am late on, as usual for me, right? That I discovered over the last year, and similarities between all these things. And we are in the midst of reboot hell. And I don't mean that as like all reboots are bad. I mean that as in, oh my God, there are so many reboots happening out of nowhere.
Yeah, I just saw they're doing a King of the Hill reboot, which is like one of the few I'm kind of okay with. But yeah, it is kind of crazy how many things are getting rebooted.
Starting with King of the Hill. So my wife is a huge King of the Hill fan, and I am too. But I would say that she takes it to a whole nother level of how much she loves King of the Hill, and I can't compete with that. I think Mike Judge is just his creations were awesome. I really enjoyed Silicon Valley, Beavis and Butthead when I snuck around to go watch it. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how they approach a time skip version, especially considering they lost two very memorable and important characters in the cast.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're gonna handle that. If they're gonna, just say, oh, they died or they moved away, because that's tough. And I've some shows have done it like that, and it's worked, and I think other times it hasn't. But I feel like I trust Mike Judge. I think he'll be able to handle that.
I do, and I think that one of the ways they could approach it that I would be okay with even is if they even started saying, hey, unfortunately we lost some people. They were really key to the cast, and we can't replace them, and we want to give them as fitting a tribute as possible. Because I think that's just coming out and saying it instead of having to write it off and be like, oh yeah, this person moved or they left. Like, how are you caught up on Archer at all, by the way?
I'm not. I fell off probably in season 5. How are they handling the loss of what's the mom's name? I can't remember.
Jessica Walter.
Yeah. How are they handling that?
So I think that the Dreamland or Coma series, I think it's like 3 or 4 seasons, I pretty much skipped all of that because I just really didn't care. And, I watched some of it. It felt like it was getting gimmicky and I just didn't care. And then I went back to watch the latest seasons where it's post Coma Archer. And I feel like they did an amazing job of how they wrote those seasons. And honestly, for something I don't generally care for, rounded out the characters to kind of bring it to a nice bow tie. Especially the tribute for Jessica Walter. That couldn't have been done any better. And yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Worth
it
the
has
watch.
something to do with like comedy animated that just makes it a little easier.
Oh yeah, and I think just the way they did it couldn't have paid a better tribute. Honestly, it was especially because her real life husband also voiced her husband on the show, and he passed away as well. I think a few years back. So both of their characters get a really good, like solid ending.
Nice. Well, I don't know what you had planned to talk about. One thing I think we haven't mentioned. So the plan for the podcast, we are bringing it back. We're going to do monthly. I think doing it every week was a lot for us, and we're busy boys now. So yeah, this is going to be a monthly thing. We're going to start bringing people on to talk about stuff. So I think, I don't know, my plan to treat this episode was a bit of like a recap of 2021, what we've been up to and what we've been watching and playing and stuff. So I don't know, what did you plan on bringing today?
Honestly, there's a lot of things that I've watched and a lot of things I've played. You and I have some similarities in that, and I wanted to talk about just some of the things that networks have been doing as far as streaming services, why I still don't use TikTok, but also why why I allow myself, yeah, I'll use the word allow, it's proper here. I'll allow myself to watch over my wife's shoulder as she watches TikTok because she has more self-control than I do. So,
as you say that, I'm deleting the TikTok app off my phone.
Reels has kind of taken over. I mean,
I
know that, and plus the algorithm for both, I usually only watch car videos and car videos that are edited with music. And then I noticed that after some time, my algorithm started changing even when I didn't do anything to change it. So I started looking into how the Reels works as well as how TikTok works respectively. And we all know hot key topic words like echo chambers and things like that. I just like car videos. So I'm just trash for that, and that's fine. But
There's no shortage of those on TikTok.
There isn't, but I also know how to manipulate Reels based on how you scroll and how much time you spend on each thing to manipulate what you see. So, yeah, it's just fun to. I honestly got more enjoyment out of messing with how the algorithm works than what I was actually watching. Because I can go to YouTube and just know what I'm going to get. So,
right, yeah, it is. That's kind of like the exciting thing about TikTok is like what's the algorithm going to find for me that I'll end up really liking. Yeah, I have a problem with TikTok for sure. When I'm looking at my movies that I watched in 2021, I'm curious, do you know how many movies roughly you watched last year? And then what was your favorite movie from last year?
Definitely didn't watch any movies, but I did watch some, obviously, anime series and some TV shows that I had never seen before that have been around for a while. So I have a lot to report on for that. I don't think I actually watched many movies at all, actually.
All right, let's hear about your top anime of 2021.
So, this is one that I found that I recommended to you a while ago. It's called Odd Taxi. And, oh man, it's a really weird thing. It's an animal-based world. Everything's anthropomorphic, and it's about this very deadpan guy who is a taxi driver, and he has to service, the city he lives in with all these crazy things happening around him. He gets caught up in a mafia hit, a kidnapping. He gets pushed around by some corporate guys because basically they think he kidnapped someone and killed them, and he's just the most deadpan character ever. And it really became more of a suspenseful kind of mystery to figure out what actually happened and what's going on with this guy. That kind of pulled me in because I love suspense and I love like capers and mystery trash like that. So it really was a really fun ride, and I definitely recommend it to everyone, especially because of the twists that come every episode. It was kind of nuts, honestly.
Oh, really? Every episode?
Every episode you get a little more insight, but nothing prepared me for what actually happened in the end.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to check that one out.
And they left it on a huge cliffhanger.
So are they getting a season 2?
I don't know. And that's kind of how they left it. They left it in a way where you're up for your imagination for how it ends and how this guy's life plays out based on the ending and the last 5 minutes of how they play it. So they could roll it into a season 2, and they could end it right there. And I really don't want to give too much away.
Okay, what streaming service is this on?
This one is on Crunchyroll. We're not sponsored by Crunchyroll, so I don't know the thing that people say when they're sponsored by Crunchyroll. Sign up now for a trial of
7-day free
days.
trial.
Yeah, 7-day free trial. Honestly, I've been kind of hopping
awesome.
around. I've been hopping around streaming services just to kind of see who has the most of what I want and only pay for that. I saw someone had posted that they were frustrated by having so many different ones, and they wish there was something that had it all in one place. And it made me realize that we are at an age now where there are some people who are unaware of what cable is.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about this recently. I was like, I remember when I moved out, and I was like, I'm never getting cable. Like, I just need a streaming service. It's so much cheaper. And now I look at how many streaming services that I pay for. So I've got Netflix, Hulu, Prime, HBO, Disney Plus. At this point, I feel like I'm paying for cable. I'm probably paying more than I would if I just had cable.
Do you feel like having all of those, so a lot of those are actually bundled. Do you pay for them individually too? Or is it just you have them?
Yeah, well, so I know there's that Disney, Hulu, ESPN bundle, but my understanding is that bundle is Disney with ads, and I can't do ads. So I pay for it individually, and now I'm remembering I also have Apple TV, and I've also got not Peacock, Paramount Plus, which is actually, it's kind of my sleeper. I think one of the more underrated streaming services of the last year.
Nice.
I get it for free through my phone service, but it's got a lot of, it's got all the South Park is on there now. But it's also got all these nostalgia shows. I was scrolling through it with my wife the other night, and they've got MTV Cribs. They've got all the dating shows from MTV, like Next. It's pretty great for a nostalgia trip. They've got all the old Nickelodeon shows. I don't know if you watched Kablam when you were growing up.
No,
but it's got a lot of those.
That's a throwback to season 1. I was definitely more of a Toonami Adult Swim kid.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah, so they've got all the Netflix and MTV stuff. It's pretty great, but I think my number one is still HBO Max is probably my most used.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we have been, as a family, watching Peacock more just because it has Parks and Rec, the Superfan episodes of The Office, Superfan episodes of Parks and Rec, and I honestly think that's it. The other day, someone turned on Modern Family, and I'd never seen that show before, and it's a really weird, cognitive dissonance when you watch a kid on a show and you go, oh, that kid is funny or whatever, and then you see that it's been 15 years or so and they're an adult.
Oh yeah.
And I just didn't know any of this had happened or transpired. And also I didn't realize, I knew there were shows that were clones of The Office. I didn't realize how blatantly some of these shows are clones of The Office. Modern Family has the straight to camera narrative scenes, but there's no justification for it. In The Office, it's under the pretext of this is a documentary. Parks and Rec, they stole it. It's under the pretext of a documentary. But who the hell is interviewing these people in Modern Family?
Right, exactly, yeah.
And the dad is a weird mix-up of, his straight-to narrative shots are a weird mix-up of, Michael Scott, Dwight Schrute, and a little bit of, Ryan. So the three main characters, and Jim, I guess, the four main characters in the office put in a blender, which he does really well. Shout out to Ed O'Neill. If someone said, hey, we want you to be these four characters at once, do it. He did it. Not even going to give him crap for that. I'm just amazed that I didn't. It was weird. I was eating food, looking down, and heard Dwight looked up and saw Ed O'Neill. And I was like, what the hell? Wait, no, sorry, nope. No, wait a minute. That's not Ed O'Neill. The dad on Modern Family is not Ed O'Neill.
He's not?
No, he's the grandfather.
Who is it? Oh, right.
Because in my mind, Ed O'Neill's real name is Al Bundy, my spirit animal.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
So,
who is the dad?
I forgot now.
Ty Burrell.
Yes, okay, sorry. Ty Burrell plays those four characters perfectly. But in that show, the only reason I continue to watch it is because Ed O'Neill is my spirit animal in real life. Like, if I have aspirations in life, it's his character. Like, without having to learn lessons every 4 episodes, because, like, we get it, all right? Like, talking is hard. People got hurt in the past. We should talk about it, whatever, get it over with. But, like, every 4 episodes, I don't need a life lesson. Just give me a fun ride.
Exactly. And I can't believe how long that show went for. That went for, like, a decade, didn't it?
I think so. The cool thing is that they used the same characters, so you got to see the kids grow up, I guess. Like, that's something my wife commented on. But I didn't really... I think Shameless did the same thing, actually, where the characters just kind of stayed on the cast, and, like, the children who were on it didn't get switched out for, like, different kids to keep them the same age. They all kind of grew up on the show. For better or worse, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed Shameless. I kind of fell off, but the last season just came out last year. I just feel like obligated to finish it.
Yeah, that's the difference between you and I when it comes to really bad books. I just put the book down.
I feel like I don't know that I've ever walked away from a book.
Yeah, I have.
I need to give that a shot. Okay, I'm trying to think.
What was your top movie from last year?
Oh, top movie. I'm going through my Letterboxd list from 2021 here. I saw a lot of trash last year.
I'm rolling.
Quiet Place 2 was terrible. Cruella was fine. Tenet was awful.
Really? That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just couldn't hear anything. Like, the sound mix I'm assuming it was intentional, but it was really jarring for me. The Little Things, which was it was the Rami Malek, Denzel Washington, like, murder mystery movie. That was terrible. I saw Dune last year. That's definitely up there. That's probably one of my top ones.
Okay.
The new Spider-Man was pretty amazing.
Was that?
And then not intentional, but yeah, it was. And then I saw this really great movie called The Beta Test. And it's from one of my favorite directors. His name's Jim Cummings. He did a movie called Thunder Road that I really liked, and it's just kind of like a small town cop who's dealing with, like, a divorce and the death of his mom. And I think he's such a good director and an actor. And so this new Beta Test movie he just came out with, it's all about this Hollywood agent who gets this letter to like have anonymous sex with somebody. So he has, like, an affair on his wife, and it's just about his, like, meltdown after that, and, like, his he's very what's the word I'm looking for? Suspicious of everybody. He feels like somebody's, like, caught him in the act, and he's being followed and stuff. It's really good. It's dark, but it's super funny too.
Nice.
And it's one of his best. So that's up there. And then I saw the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, Licorice Pizza. It's got are you familiar with the band Haim?
The name sounds familiar, and I actually did see a trailer for this show, or this movie, actually. Tell me more about it.
So yeah, so the band Haim, it's like these 3 sisters. They're a rock band, but one of the girls is the main character. One of the members of the band is the main character in this movie. And the other one is Cooper Hoffman, who's Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. So this is his first movie, and Bradley Cooper's in it. But it's set in I think it's like the 60s, 70s, and it's in the Valley, and it's basically Philip Seymour Hoffman's son plays this like high schooler he's kind of an entrepreneur. He's an actor, and he meets this girl, who's the main band member for Haim. And he's kind of like in love with her. She's like significantly older than him, and it's just kind of their friendship that builds. And it's super funny. I love Paul Thomas Anderson. He's really never missed for me. I think the last one I saw of his was Phantom Thread, which was really good, and it was the last Daniel Day-Lewis movie. Yeah, I highly recommend it. If you like that, like 70s, that time period, I think it's a great love letter to it, and the music's awesome. The acting's great. It's super funny. So, yeah, highly recommend it. That's probably my top movies of the year.
Right on. I think I love movies that have really odd titles like that too. Though that can attract me to a movie way more than a trailer can sometimes. And when I saw that, my first thought was the flavors of licorice and pizza, how disgusting that is, and also how to make a pizza that pairs well with a specific kind of licorice. So my mind was intrigued and sparked just from that alone.
Yeah, I think I had a similar reaction when I saw the trailer in theaters.
What have you seen? So have you been to the theaters in the last year? You just said you were, but yeah.
Yeah, I've gone a few times. I think, more in the summer of last year, we were going pretty frequently. And then I saw like the big tent poles. So like Dune was really good. Had an awesome time. I actually saw that twice in theaters, and then I watched it once at home because it was on HBO Max, which was the nice thing is like all these HBO movies ended up on the streaming service, so you didn't have to go to the theater. But that was one I wanted to see in IMAX. We went and saw the last Bond movie with Daniel Craig, which I enjoyed. I thought it was good. So yeah, I probably went and saw like maybe 10 or 11 movies in theaters last year.
How do you feel going back to a theater versus being able to stream to your house? Does it feel like a hassle, or do you feel like you've been like, man, it's so good to be back?
Yeah, I think I'm in the minority. I really enjoy the movie theater. And I think during COVID, a lot of people were like, this is kind of nice just being able to stream it at home. And I think it is awesome to have that option. But I just really like the spectacle of going to the movies and, getting the popcorn, sitting in the nice seat, and the awesome sound system that they have, and the big screens. It's just like way better than anything I can replicate at home. So I really enjoy it. So you don't really go at all. Has it been nice having the option to watch these big like blockbuster movies from home?
Honestly, I'm going to say no. And I do want to go to a movie theater again. I feel like my focus is really, really not there when I'm at home. Like, I have a really decent setup. I'm not going to complain at all. But I don't enjoy being in the house that much. Especially for me, what I associate with home is more like work sometimes. So I'll come home and like, okay, cool, let's go do something. Let's go outside and do something. And granted, my wife is an introvert, and I think my kid is going to be more of an introvert depending on his mood. He's still younger and things are not cool, so I just don't tell him anything is cool, and then he like gradually comes around to thinking it's cool. I just leave him alone. I think it goes either way. Like, I think it depends on what my work week looks like. If I'm mostly working from home, I want to go out and do something. If I'm at work a lot, being able to come home and not be out in like crowds is really like relaxing. So it just kind of depends on like, I think the kind of week I've had and the kind of week we've had collectively, because like there is something to be said for like, if you're tired already, being able to come home and just kind of crash on the couch, all of us sit and watch a movie, the dog's running around, and then she just like jumps on one of our laps, and we all just kind of sit there and end up just like knocking out.
Yeah.
I can't do that in a movie theater.
Right. Oh, I've definitely passed out in the movie theater before.
I have too. I was during Hangover 2, actually.
Oh, I don't blame you. That one was pretty bad.
Well, it was great to me because I had like 6 adios motherfuckers at that time. So.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if I can recommend one movie that you could watch at home, probably not with a kid. It was my sleeper hit of last year was Pig. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No,
it's
tell me.
Nicolas Cage, and he's a truffle hunter out west, and his pig gets stolen, and it's kind of like his. It's I think the way the trailers have pitched it is like it's similar to what's that movie with Keanu Reeves where he's his dog gets killed.
I'm not even going to tell you because you know the name of the movie.
I do. John Wick. Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah. So it was kind of pitched as a John Wick, but with Nicolas Cage instead of Keanu Reeves. But it's not that at all. And it's like it's surprisingly good. And I think it's one of Nick Cage's best performances.
Can you just imagine going to a boardroom and going, all right, guys, I got a great idea. We're ready to sweep the floor with this one. Imagine the hit series John Wick, but without Keanu. Okay, so what do you do? Okay, picture this, all right? We put in another actor, another beloved American actor, Nicolas Cage. You want to reboot John Wick as Nicolas Cage? Yes, but not with a dog, with a pig. Oh, okay. So what's the premise? Is it like, what's happened? Get this. He's a mushroom hunter. Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's definitely a weird pitch. It was really good though. I think it's one of Nicolas Cage's best performances. So if you like Nick Cage at all, I know he can be hit or miss for a lot of people. I think he's a phenomenal actor.
You know what? I'm gonna go on record about this with Nick Cage. He does not deserve the crap he's been given in his acting career.
Agreed. I mean, he definitely hams it up in a lot of movies, but it's clearly intentional.
And, he hams it up, but, like, that was what the industry called for at the time. Like,
yeah,
that's
exactly
what people wanted. That's not his fault. He did what he's supposed to do. Gone in 60 Seconds and Eleanor is still amazing. Now, granted, Wicker Man it's hilarious to watch, honestly. But Nick Cage, he was in a series called The Art of Cursing on Netflix, and I haven't finished it yet, but he just goes through all the curse words that exist. And, it's Nicolas Cage.
Holy shit, I totally forgot about that. It's so good. I love that show. I thought that was great.
Yeah, it's name someone else who can just bring a smile to your face for whatever reason. Like, I think Nicolas Cage and Guy Fieri get shit they don't deserve for any reason.
Yeah, I mean, Guy Fieri has never pretended to be like this world-class chef. He's a chef of the people, man.
He's the Rock of the chef world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would love to see a movie with the two of them.
That would be. I wouldn't even know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know what the plot would be, but we can come up with something.
The Rock's in everything, so I'm sure he'll find a way to get in a movie with Guy Fieri.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you heard, he just announced that he's going to be part of a movie that's an adaptation of one of the biggest video games ever. He hasn't said what it is.
I did hear that, and I think that I have two guesses, honestly, for which character he might portray, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are.
Well, I don't know. He did. He's done a few video game movies, hasn't he?
He does. He has. I think Doom was one of them, actually.
Oh yeah, I actually never saw that one.
I forgot.
So my thought is, it has to be Fortnite.
Oh, I didn't think that at all, actually.
Ooh, what's your What's your gauge on this situation?
My guess is he's either going to be Master Chief or he's going to be Kratos.
Oh, dude, he would be such a good Kratos. Oh my gosh. Well, they're doing the Halo series on Paramount Plus. I think it comes out this year.
I did not know that. I actually didn't. Honestly, I never watched any of the Halo series, like shows or movies, just because the games are cinematic enough for me. I just didn't have a reason to really go do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Paramount Plus. I'm trying to remember. I think it's a Spielberg production. The new Halo show.
Wow. Okay.
It's some actor I've never heard of is playing Master Chief. I don't know if they have a Cortana in the show or not, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Who would you cast as Cortana? If you had to.
That's a good question. You need somebody that's super charismatic, but can be serious too. I guess you could, in theory, do it animated and just have somebody's voice, right?
True, but if you're going to do... Because they kind of already have that. So if you're going to do someone, like, who was playing Cortana, kind of how Julia Roberts did Tinkerbell way back in the day with the movie Hook, who would you choose?
Oh, yeah. I guess if we're going to do somebody, like, that's actually, like, going to be physically in the role, maybe, like, an Aisha Tyler. I think she might make a good Cortana.
Okay. I was thinking, just based on appearance and the fact that they can actually do a Cortana hairstyle based on, like, based on the game. I'm forgetting her name right now, but she played Hit Girl in Kick-Ass. And a bunch of things
yeah. Well, now I have to look it up.
Yeah, I know. We tried to get away without Googling anything, but guess what? We're humans and we forget things. So
exactly. Oh, Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yes, I think she played a pretty sick Cortana because she has that edge, and she has that kind of like she can switch back and forth between being super professional, but also like giving Master Chief hell for all the shit that Cortana's giving Master Chief hell for.
Yeah, and you could do an origin story, so you have like a young Cortana, and then she can kind of like age into the role.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. I'd be into that.
So I know that. How do you feel about video game adaptations to movies? Like, since we talked about this like a year and a half ago, but I feel like video games have gotten more in the public conscience than they ever were. I mean, streamers are having music videos and are like celebrities now. Twitch has gotten more popular. You have like actual drama and beefs between streamers and whatever the hell. I don't know. It's just interesting to see the evolution of that. I never expected it to be as popular as it is.
Yeah, I can't think of like many good video game movie adaptations of video games. Like Detective Pikachu was fine, I guess, but I think if it wasn't Ryan Reynolds playing Pikachu, I probably wouldn't even like rank it. So yeah, I'm a little nervous. I mean, I feel like if it's God of War, if The Rock is going to be Kratos in God of War movie, I think that they would do a pretty good job. I mean, Sony does not have a great track record of reproducing their video games as movies. I don't know if you saw the Mark Wahlberg Drake's Fortune movie that they're doing.
I saw the trailer, but also just had no interest in it. I played the Uncharted games, and I'm a fan of both of those actors. I just don't care to see the games that, again, the games are really cinematic already, portrayed in this way,
Right. Yeah, I was like, because I'm a big fan of the new Tomb Raider series. They're super good, and so I was really hyped for the new Tomb Raider movie, and it turned out to not be very good. But yeah, I mean, if they bring in the writers from the actual video games to write a God of War movie, like I'm 100% in, and The Rock would be great. Although, like, Kratos is such a serious character, and I have a hard time taking The Rock seriously.
That's fair. I was just thinking that he is actually not. Probably he has the range to be super serious, but that's not his draw as a actor. I think. I don't know if he could pull off. Master Chief and Kratos are both not really talkative people.
Right,
like,
yeah.
And I think my big concern with how movies approach video game character development is very different. Like, have you played the last God of War?
Yeah, I was a big fan.
So how he came around to kind of being more open with Atreus and everything, I think that was a natural and gradual progression that you get out of a 60-hour game. A movie has an hour and a half, and they tend to kind of shoehorn emotional growth really badly, and it's really, like, not... I mean, it's fine. You have to do what you have to do for an hour and a half. I can't knock them for that, but when you have 60 hours to grow with a character, it actually, like, fight alongside them versus sitting and watching an hour and a half of, like, oh, wow, now we've connected. Let's play the triumphant trumpet music and slay the bad guy. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of taking the air out of my sails for this movie.
Yeah, I think I would be more interested in a series, maybe like a 8-episode series, because I feel like you could get a lot more done that way, and kind of address some of those valid concerns that you have about the character growth. But there's a million freaking shows, and
oh yeah, and I think that's kind of like why I kind of stayed more to shows over the last year than movies. That said, there's been a lot of great movies that you've recommended to me, so I'll definitely check them out. Like, I think I still reference Parasite and Burning. Like, those are still some of my favorite movies of all time now because of you. And with that, I think, circling back to The Rock, I had a very horrific image in my mind about Kratos just being Scorpion King 2.
Dude, I was thinking the same thing. Oh my gosh. It's the worst CGI I can imagine.
Yeah, that kind of scared me for a second, honestly.
I would like to see him as Kratos fighting the Scorpion King.
Ooh.
So I don't think that's possible, but I would like to see it.
If they did, they would just do another, like, CGI thing with like with the Twins movies, like whatever they had, like, what was it, Double Trouble, or what was it called? The Parent Trap. There we go. That's what the word I was trying to say.
Oh yeah.
Twin
yeah,
CGI.
Man. Yeah, I'm very curious. I think The Rock does not have a good track record for video game movies, but I don't think, I think if anyone's gonna do a good job, I don't typically blame The Rock for the bad movie adaptations he's in. It's usually the writing.
Yeah, I feel like The Rock is there to have fun, and I'm more down with that. I really enjoy when people are actually having fun with what they're doing, and he brings, like, life to it. And, he brings personality to it that, like, he's honed over his career. And I'm never going to knock The Rock for that. So, Rock, whoever listening, if we ever end up working out at some point in time, just know, I didn't watch Jungle Cruise, but I got your back, bud. I got your back.
I didn't watch that either. It kind of looked good, but I think it's on Disney Plus.
It is. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that it was based off a ride, just how Pirates of the Caribbean was based on a ride. I didn't know the history, and I got, like, more lost in the history of adapting a ride to become a movie, which in my mind is like, what are you doing? How does that happen?
Yeah, it's fun. I didn't realize that either until I actually went to Disney last year, and I saw the ride at Disney. I didn't actually go on it, but yeah, I didn't realize it was a ride either. But I mean, they've done stuff like that before, where they make a movie out of something that doesn't really seem like there's, like, a story there. Like the Lego Movie seemed to work out. So
yeah, I'm impressed with. How do I word this? Given the fact that we are in reboot hell, I am impressed with any original ideas that get adopted by mainstream media that don't get drowned out by nostalgia polls.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Yeah, that has been my biggest thing, is kind of avoiding the nostalgia bait, other than Paramount Plus. Yeah, did you watch Midnight Mass on Netflix last year?
I did not. I forgot that I had Netflix and just barely got back into watching it like a couple weeks ago, but a lot of that was catching up on the Great British Baking Show. And Baki has a new series out now, which is called Baki Hanma, and it's a great series to watch if you're into guttier animes that are high octane and unapologetic.
Oh, I love that. I'll have to watch that. And Great British Bake Off has been awesome. The new season was pretty great. Although I spoilers, I guess, if you didn't watch the newest season. As much as I love my Italian stallion, I don't think he should have won.
Yeah. It was a very interesting group of people this time around, honestly. Like I think they do an amazing job with casting. But, excuse me, sorry, that was a little bit of a coffee burp, everyone. Coffee is a little bit of a ritual here at this podcast. It's for nerds. As we're recording on a Saturday morning. But, yeah, I love how their casting always seems to be really well done. And it's a good show. Don't watch it while you're hungry, because then you'll try and bake something, it's going to blow up in your kitchen, and you'll be disappointed with yourself. It's a DoorDash kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I would literally every time we would watch it, we would DoorDash something to eat while we were watching the show. And Noel Fielding is just such an amazing man.
He just I love how he can perfectly play off being like super goth in wardrobe some days, and then just have like the dark eyeliner and wear like a pink flamingo shirt and high boots, and it's just like, what's happening with this guy? It's awesome.
I want all of his shirts. His shirts are incredible.
I want his eyeliner. I don't wear eyeliner, but I feel like if I wore Noel's eyeliner, it would be more depth to my meetings.
You could pull it off, I think.
I have the eyelashes for it for sure. But,
Oh, okay. So Midnight Mass. It's a Netflix show.
Sorry.
Have you watched Haunting of Hill House?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's the same director, but it's a really good show. It was my favorite show of last year for sure. It's about a small fishing town. It's like a little island, and so this priest that was part of the town went to Israel, and so this new pastor comes into town and lets them know that he'll be taking over in his absence, and then all this weird stuff starts to happen. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, it's got some of the best performances of the year, and I'm really excited because the director is doing an Edgar Allan Poe adaptation for Netflix that I think comes out at the end of the year. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Honestly, just from the screenshots I'm seeing, doing a quick Google search, it looks really sick.
Yeah, it's very dark. Yeah, it's like a really original. It's just talking about original stories. It does a very good job, and yeah, I just really love everything that director does. So if you watched Haunting of Hill House or if you watched Bly Manor, I think you're really gonna love this. And Raul Coley is probably one of my favorite actors right now, and he just absolutely crushes his performance as the local sheriff.
Nice. Yeah, I'll look into this actually. It's I actually realized I'm actually getting like mixed images of midnight masses at actual churches, which is hilarious. Like this is not from the movie, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, that's
It's also easy. I think it's like 8 episodes, so it's not a huge time commitment.
I think that's a perfect little season. Those 8 episodes, people have been adopting that a lot more, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel like Netflix had this standard where like all their seasons early on when they were doing originals had to be 13, and I was like, It's just too much. Just cut it down.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, at some point you hit that hell where it'll get too long or too short, and if you want to garner intrigue, leaving a little bit of shortness is probably really good, just to kind of help that out a little bit. I think another series that I just complain about that a lot with animes, honestly, because if I go through and look at a show, and there's certain key things I know to avoid. If you have a cute mascot like a Pikachu type character that makes weird noises in the first 4 episodes, I'm skipping you. If you are going to have a character that's yelling and crying and kind of a lecher the whole time, I'm skipping you. And I am particularly calling out everyone's favorite anime right now, Demon Slayer.
Dude.
I only watch the highlight scenes because that yellow-haired bastard pisses me off. And anybody who's like, oh, well, you just don't, he's a lover. Shut up. Stop talking to me.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I've heard season 2 is significantly better, but I can't stomach through. I don't know. I've probably got at least 12 episodes left of the first season.
I just went and read the manga and finished it that way. I can put my own character voices in their heads and just not listen to that happening. Again, just to call back for those who are new, I have nothing against the voice actors who are doing their job to make that money. Not against it. I'm an adult. I've watched so much. I've watched the original episode of One Piece and whatever. This doesn't give me cred or whatever. I'm done trying to stomach characters that annoy the shit out of me. You don't need these gimmicky things to make me watch a show. If you get too opie for the show, get whatever, I'm out. I don't need that. I'm a grown man. I don't need to watch giant anime boobs to be like, yeah, I'm just I'm 12 or 16 watching this thing. No, I'm done. I'm not gonna do it. I want grit. I want fighting. I want suspense. I want Lupin the Third. All the parts, they're all great. I want Baki Hanma. I want if someone gets kicked, I don't want to see a fade to white. I want to see the blood fly out of their ears. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm in a similar boat. I'm big on the mystery animes. Those are usually my go-to. But I feel like we need to transition because we always talk about video games on this podcast. And there's a lot of video game news, and I also want to talk about your favorite video games from last year.
Absolutely.
So, are you familiar with the latest Xbox acquisition, Zach?
Oh man, am I ever? And I will admit, how most people hop on Instagram and scroll. I do that, and I have done that. But what I've been doing instead to offset that is watching SVG News in the morning. And man, is there a lot to talk about?
Yeah, so I guess for those that don't know or don't follow it, Microsoft will be acquiring Activision Blizzard in fiscal year 2023. So I think it'll be mid 2023 to early 2024. I think is when everything will be done. And it cost them $69 billion. And this is after they had closed the deal with ZeniMax Bethesda. And that was $7 billion. It was not even a year ago that happened.
Talk about I wonder how Bethesda felt about that little slap in the face, that $62 billion slap in the face right there.
Well, you have to consider what they're acquiring. I mean, this is probably the biggest Sony's, I think, the biggest video game company still. But I think Activision Blizzard was in the top 5 as far as profits.
That's fair.
So they're getting Activision, who are responsible for Call of Duty, Overwatch, Blizzard's, StarCraft. There's a possibility we could get World of Warcraft on the Xbox, which would be incredible.
Ooh, yeah.
But I think the big thing that people are overlooking and where a lot of this $69 billion is coming from is they're getting King, They're the mobile video game developer that made Candy Crush, which continues to be like one of the biggest mobile games in the world.
Does it really?
It's I mean, Candy Crush has been around probably over a decade, right? And it's still always like the number one game on the App Store. So I imagine that's where a lot of the money's coming from, but they're also getting some like other cool stuff. They're getting, Infinity Ward, obviously. So they're going to have, I mean, in theory, I think the standalone Call of Duty titles going forward are going to be Xbox exclusive, which I think is going to hurt the PlayStation heads. But they're also getting like Toys for Bob, so we could see some. I think pretty sure they did the Tony Hawk series, so we might get more Tony Hawk games in the future, which I would be really happy about. But we're also getting Crash Bandicoot, which is rad.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that. Yeah, so I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Zach? I think people have mixed feelings.
I know that a lot of people who are loyal to the PlayStation platform were super concerned for the reasons you said about making it exclusive to Xbox and then pulling those exclusives off of PlayStation and basically handing them over. I don't know if they would necessarily do that with all of the major titles that exist, because I feel like you stand to lose a lot more overall by doing that, as opposed to kind of bringing some over to the Xbox One and kind of making both platforms, especially if we're moving towards a future where we can do cross-platform play, you kind of stand to lose a lot by isolating like that. So I'm not sure what the plan is there, and I'm also curious to see what third-party developer to support they offer by making things more accessible in the Xbox Game Pass store. For example, you asked about games I played last year. I played a lot of random little games last year that were just on the Game Pass just to kind of try them out. Some were really fun, some were kind of trash, and some were trash but in the best way possible. So I'm curious to see how it plays out, honestly. It's still too early for me to tell.
Yeah, I think you're right. I could see a situation, like with Minecraft, where it's a legacy series, and they can't take it off of all the other consoles because they're pulling in so much money. So I could see like a Call of Duty Warzone, which is their like free to play, like keep that as a cross-platform title because they're gonna get money from it anyways. One thing I had seen thrown around was that maybe they will see if PlayStation would allow for Game Pass on the PS5. I don't know that will ever happen.
I don't
but
see a
they
benefit
can.
of that either.
What was that?
I don't see a benefit of that.
Well, I mean, it seems that Microsoft's strategy now is they're all in on Game Pass. That's their big pull. They're not looking to sell video games anymore. They're looking to sell this subscription service. So, they just reported, I think, in line with this announcement that they have 25 million Game Pass subscribers right now. So I think that's going to be their big focus, is just getting everybody on Game Pass. So if they take all of these titles and make them exclusive, but they say, hey, if you subscribe to Game Pass on the PS5, you'll have access to those games.
I see.
I don't know that Sony will ever be down with that, and I don't think Nintendo ever will be. But I think if Microsoft continues to buy up these companies, that it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah, that's a good point. I am a Game Pass subscriber, and I honestly enjoy it, because especially when I'm bored, like right now, there's not a ton of games for me to really dive into. I'm waiting for the new Borderlands style game, Tiny Tina's Adventure Wonderlands or whatever, which is a standalone game and not a DLC like we thought.
Oh yeah, that's like the D&D type one, right?
Yeah.
Very
so I'm
cool.
looking forward to that. Other than that, I mean, I played Halo Infinite. Great game, great mechanics, honestly. I'm not gonna buy into their season pass. I don't think it's worth it. and I played Destiny a lot last year actually, and then they pulled that from the Game Pass, and I didn't feel like going to get it again. So, yeah, it's a Game Pass has a lot of perks, but just not when you don't know. I think it's good for finding like random games. Like I found a game called Deer Simulator, your average everyday deer game, and it is to me one of the most ridiculous games I've ever seen in my entire life. Imagine a world where you're a deer. No, sorry, I'm sorry. Take that back. You're a human that goes to save a deer from getting hit by a bus. You die and wake up as a deer. But this deer has the powers to change its antlers into machine guns, throw grenades, and use its neck like Spider-Man and attach onto buildings and fly and fight stuff.
Okay. Is this made by the people that made Goat Simulator?
No, it's made by Playism.
Okay. Huh.
It's where everyone should try it. It's the gameplay. There's no guidelines on how to do anything. You're just supposed to wreck the city and collect guns and keep destroying things as much as possible before the police take you out. And the police are different versions of animals armed with different mechanized things, and it doesn't make any sense. But it's just irreverent in all the right ways, especially when you're not wanting to really think about what you're doing. So
right.
It's like the opposite of a puzzle game like Crash Bandicoot, which can get really difficult and stressful. This is just like, what am I doing right now?
I'm gonna have to give that a shot. I've not heard of it at all, but yeah, I think Game Pass is good for those like little weird titles like that are just probably not going to get big reach. It's probably great marketing for those like small indie devs. So yeah. So was that probably your favorite game that you played last year?
You know, I think for all I've been giving crap about nostalgia and things like that, my favorite game last year was honestly Halo Infinite. And
dude, it's so good.
Yeah, I know it came out this year technically, but since we haven't done this in a year, I'm counting it as my year because it really just like I wasn't looking forward to it because I didn't think it was going to be good because they talked about how they were going to change the story progression and how things happen, and the mechanics. I wouldn't say they're clunky, but when you get into it and you try to play like old Halo without really looking at the controls and adjusting, you know, it can be like a little jarring. But the minute you get into it and you get your flow down, it feels great. I love that they brought back, you know, the big team battles, which was one of my favorite things because it's just nonsense. The new Fiesta game mode is amazing, where you just get random guns every time you spawn in. It's just a lot of fun, and I think the grapple hook and the different gear, what do they call it? The powers applications.
Yeah, with like the shield and the little boost thing. Yeah,
grapple hook all day. But yeah, that's
dude, it feels incredible. Like I just love swinging across a map and then like landing on top of somebody and knocking them out. It's great.
Stealing vehicles with the grapple is just game changing, or just getting to a good sniper perch is just nuts because of that.
Yeah, it's definitely. I was super nervous. So like, you know, when I think we had talked about it when they first showed gameplay, and it looked pretty rough, and then they made the decision to delay the game. Like I think it was almost a year, and I think we had discussed that it was probably a good idea. And you know, now now that we've played the game, I haven't beat the campaign. I've been mostly doing online actually. But I think now that we have it, I do think that delay was a good call, because I can't imagine how rough it would have been if that game had come out, you know, end of 2020. I don't think it would have been as polished as it is now.
I agree, and I think like for the continuation of the story, they did an amazing job, and I think that just it brought my friend and I were playing it actually. You and I should hop on and do some online too. It it just felt smooth. Like I loved going to the controller settings and finding the control settings for bumper jumper. Anybody who's plays Halo knows what bumper jumper is, and it's just that was my bread and butter, honestly. Like that's what I love to play with. And you have like the legacy settings, which I do not recommend to anybody who's played a more recent Halo, because it takes you all the way back to the Halo 1 settings, and if you forgot how to play Halo 1, it'll mess you up.
Yeah, I was super impressed. I think it's really good, and I finally was able to get a Xbox Series X, and it just looks amazing in 4K at 60 frames. It's a beautiful game.
Good to know. I'm still rocking the 1. I've done other upgrades, like I have a better monitor and PC setup. I will eventually do to the 1X. So you had the 1 before, right? You had.
So yeah, I had the
One.
Xbox One. I bought it like right when it came out. So I was originally a PS4. I was like, I'm gonna do a PlayStation this year, and then there was like nothing that I was super excited for coming out for it. And then when they announced the Xbox One and then the Master Chief Collection, I was like, all right, I'm gonna jump into Xbox One. So I had the Xbox One, the original one, and then I had the Series S was the last thing I was rocking, and it was starting to show its age. Especially in comparison, like I would play Sea of Thieves with my friends that are playing on a Series X, and it just looked really bad. So I was lucky enough. My friend was able to get one from Walmart, and so yeah, I've had it for a couple months, and it's like night and day difference.
That's good to know. I was holding back just because I feel like for right now it suits my needs, and I wasn't sure if it was really worth the upgrade to doing it, so I wanted to wait. But that's good to hear, actually.
Yeah, the nice thing is at least the Series S's are a lot easier to get. I see those at like Target all the time. So if you want to do like it's not going to be as amazing as the Series X, but it'll definitely be a big improvement over the Xbox One that you have. They're a lot easier to get, and they're significantly cheaper. I think the Series S is like $300 or $250 maybe. To the Series X is like $500.
I actually don't know what. Oh, that's what the difference is. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember what. That 1 terabyte though. Ooh.
Oh, it's nice. Oh. Yeah, I've got so many games like physically on my system now. I used to like have to shuffle them out all the time because I haven't bought an external drive yet.
How do you feel about cloud gaming?
Oh, I love it. I've been doing it like I've had to travel a little bit for work, and being able to I bought the Elite 2 Xbox controller. And to be able to Bluetooth into my iPhone and then just play like most of the Xbox Game Pass games just on my data, it's super impressive. I wouldn't recommend it right now for like an online game. Like I wouldn't play Halo on cloud gaming, but just like little puzzle games, like it's perfect for it. Have you messed around with it at all?
I have. Some of the smaller indie games that I've been messing around with actually support it, and that's why it really kind of drew me into wanting to check out the Game Pass as well, because a lot of the games are now offering, say, hey, cloud gaming only, and since I do have an older Xbox, I figured, hey, that's a pretty cool thing to try out and compare against. So, yeah, I've definitely messed around with it. There's actually a game I'm going to recommend to you to try out. It's a roguelite, 70s-based alien hunter game called Anacrusis, or The Anacrusis.
Oh, I think I've heard about that. I've heard good things.
It's honestly a lot of fun, and the whole 70s like 70s movie style vibe of alien hunters is just really funny. It's That's like awesome. Left 4 Dead set in space in the 70s. There's a whole disco fight scene you need to fight off like hordes of aliens. It's a fun ride because there's a lot of roguelite games on the Xbox Game Pass. I don't really hate it, but I also am not a huge like, oh yeah, roguelite. That's all of what I search for. It's all of what I want out of a game. I don't really care that much. But for a horde style game that doesn't have anything to do with zombies, I'm all on board. for that.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you didn't play Back for Blood.
I didn't. It just
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not even because zombies are scary. They just make disgusting noises.
Yeah, they do.
There's people who eat like that, and it's gross. I can't sit there, like, the satisfaction of shooting a zombie because of that noise is great, but then you just hear, it makes my skin crawl. You hear the noises. It's like, oh god, it's just, stop. Close your mouth when you chew. Like, if a zombie was eating me, that's what I would be telling him. Excuse me, your manners, sir. He'd be like, oh, sorry, but in zombie form. So, half a jaw and eating my voluptuous thigh because I work out.
I feel
don't you miss us? Don't you guys miss us?
I miss this a lot. I feel like it's the perfect ending to the episode.